up, folks? Welcome to another episode of Smoke World. I'm your host, Stone, so go grab that stick, go grab a glass, whatever you're drinking. Let's sit back and have that conversation. We're here live, L-I-V-E, live at Tobacco Field Cigar Lounge. So you hear a lot of background noise in the back. Folks are talking about everything. So you know what I said? Let me turn this mic on. I got Sketches. I haven't seen Sketches in like 2 years. Sketches, what's up, brother?
I'm in the building, man. You know, I'm doing my Kegels. I'm doubling up on the Kegels. So
okay, first of all, you need to let folks know what Kegel.
Everybody know what
no,
Kegel
they don't.
is.
No, they
man.
don't. You
Come
can't
on,
assume
son.
that, man.
Come on, everybody know what Kegel is.
This is a diverse audience. You can't assume. Just like they said, the hostel, and all that. Nobody don't know what the hell that was. That's a hotel. You knew that because you're a New York guy. That seems like some kind of place. So you can't assume what Kegel is. You want to explain to them what the Kegel is because you got something going on. Let them know what's going on with Kegel.
Kegel is one of the main components and the main muscles that helps with urination.
I do more than that, I think, but
urination it controls the your pelvic floor, and men have a bad pelvic floor. That's why we always got to urinate, and we have the colon cancer thing going on, and on the prostate. You know, and when you have a strong pelvic floor, it increases your chances of not having a backup in your urination and defecation because you let it all out.
So
if your Kegel, if you don't have a strong Kegel, your pelvic is not strong, you keep dookie back in. Let the dookie out.
Poopy Doopy Productions.
Yeah. So that's
okay. So now you have it's a device.
Yeah, it's a device. I have
an
external device that you can purchase. The links will be in the script, and it's a device that you sit on, and it monitors your Kegels to make sure you do it right. You play games, and it just straighten your Kegels. Once you straighten your Kegels,
you straight.
You straight.
How was your Thanksgiving, brother?
Oh, it was great, bro. No fights.
No fights.
No politics.
Do you have that type of family that there will be a fight? Not everybody has.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I have one of those. I got one of those.
You got one?
Yeah, I got.
There's one that
you got one side of the family that they go down memory lane. Go down memory lane and be like, yo, y'all, we talked about this and it led to a fight and y'all do this every year. Stop doing this.
Okay, maybe we talking about something different than politics. No politics at the table.
Well, it's not politics.
Huh?
It's not politics.
But you know what's interesting? You still was eating leftovers like 2 days ago, bro. Like, that's crazy. You told me you had greens and some stuff left over.
I know what's wrong with leftovers, man.
Bro,
I actually started.
Bro, we in December, brother.
Well, I got my soup going on. I'm doing
that's
soup.
Trash, dog.
I'm doing soup now.
This is why you need to keep it.
I got a big pot of soup that we did yesterday.
Bro.
I still got that That turkey's in the soup.
5 days, man.
How long ago? Thanksgiving was like 2 weeks
right,
ago,
5
man.
days, thank you. 5 day leftovers.
Okay, so
and that 6th day you do the soup.
What you're hearing is some people in the background chiming in.
Whatever you got left there, you do the soup.
That's a week, maybe a week. This 2-3 weeks out, brother. Thanksgiving was 2 weeks ago. You still eating greens? Come on, bro. That's not good for you, bro. Come on,
put it in the soup.
Ain't no good, period. I don't care what kind of soup. This ain't Game of Thrones.
You be like Fred said with the 8-day-old college.
Yeah, come on, man. This ain't Game of Thrones where you just like throw all slop together from like a month ago with a piece of cornbread.
You're talking about you rather eat Burger King and McDonald's than 6-day-old collard greens.
This ain't 6
with
days
neck
old,
bones
bro.
in there.
Okay, we recording today is the 6th of December. This is when we record this podcast.
I'm still eating it.
That's my whole point.
Yeah, but then after you leave here, you go to Burger King and that food been sitting there for 7 months.
That refrigerator be opening over them 5 days. You can't be. First of all, you know the fried chicken ain't lasting.
Yeah, but a burger from Burger King, that's processed food. That was.
But that burger for 5 days is better than some 3 days.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's better than
Come on,
No,
son.
no, come on, collard greens, man. Come on.
It's better than some 3 days.
Nah, man, collard greens will last
So
long.
now, okay, you made a soup.
Yeah, collard greens don't go bad like that. No.
What are you talking about, man? It's food, man. It's a vegetable. Yo, hold
Yeah,
on.
you put a little vinegar in it.
Man, you use some stuff, man. If you put some vinegar and gasoline, you can drink it.
Vinegar.
Come on, man.
You got vinegar in there. You got a little
So-
salt in there. You're looking at least 10 days inside the refrigerator.
10
I got
days?
people that.
What the hell?
Hold on, you said 10 days?
10 days.
Come on, man.
10 days.
So
son.
hold on. So you got 2 weeks old food that you put in the soup.
So
How long is this soup gonna sit around for another 2 weeks?
You're trying to tell me I never had frozen Y'all never had frozen vegetables. That's exactly what they do. They take the vegetables and
you
they
have it in the
add
freezer?
sodium to it and they pack it.
Did you have yours in the freezer? Was yours frozen?
No, the key word is refrigerated.
Sir.
The cool word is refrigerated. Refrigerated.
You don't know the exact temperature of your refrigerator right
Oh, yes, I do. I got an app. And I got the LG app. I got the
on,
LG
son.
app. I can tell when somebody opened up my refrigerator.
You don't know how food's supposed to be stored.
Why you telling me I don't know what to?
Listen.
I am a food service food manager in the military.
In his past life,
I went to school.
he was in the Boy Scouts.
I went to school.
And that's how they got over you.
He was in the Boy Scouts in '84, and he talking about he know how to manage food. That don't count, bro.
I wasn't in the Boy Scouts.
Okay.
We couldn't afford it.
You was in the
We
Boy
couldn't afford
Scouts.
it. We couldn't afford it. But I am a food manager. I run dining facilities, so I know when.
So we know not to eat at your place because you got 2 weeks old food,
It ain't 2 weeks.
and you're gonna make
it
a
ain't
soup
2 weeks.
that's gonna last another 2 weeks.
No.
The same old 2 week
No.
food.
How long vegetables last?
Vegetables
How long vegetables?
in the refrigerator.
Don't eat at his house.
Different vegetables are a little bit. You know, you got different. So you got some vegetables that have a high acid level. You got vegetables that have a high acid. You have some vegetables that have a lot of sugar. So every vegetable lasts a little longer.
That's why they call it pot liquor.
So here's the thing. Seymour.
Pot liquor lasts forever.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing.
So how long some greens last?
So greens is equivalent to fruit.
Greens is
So if the same way you put rich vegetables in the refrigerator.
Freeze them, but
you can freeze them.
Yes, you-
already know
You
that.
talking about refrigerator?
No, refrigerated collard greens can last in there for 2 weeks, easy.
What? Come on,
2
son.
weeks. If you refrigerate collard greens,
I gotta
I
agree
give him
with
7
you.
days.
if you
I gotta
Well, Ron's single. Ron been single for 25 years, so he don't know no better. But he's supposed to be a manager of food.
Open, you can't leave in the
what do you mean?
refrigerator.
What do you mean open?
I'm talking about something that's
Something
So-
you buy from the store.
So what's the difference? What's the
2 weeks later, I'm gonna laugh at you when you all.
what? So
Right,
what's the
when you
difference
got poopy
between
doopy
a
production.
vegetable?
I ain't gonna feel
What's the difference between a vegetable and the fruit?
Hold up, you saying
What is the difference between a vegetable and a fruit?
But you saying you was in the service for a food service.
The Boy Scouts,
Right.
Not the service.
Right.
That
The Boy
explains-
Scouts.
The military, army,
that
the army.
explains
You know what I mean? He was
the
post 622. Post 622 in the Boy Scouts. 84. He was there for 6 months in the Boy Scouts. Post 622. He's telling you now that he was a manager.
Why you said
So if you go to his house, eat
Why
food,
622?
make sure you bring your own food. That was the post.
No.
Brooklyn, New York, post
So
622 for the Boy Scouts.
you don't mind eating an apple that's been in your refrigerator for 3 weeks?
I don't
An
put them in the
apple.
refrigerator.
I'm about to say, don't nobody put apples in
You
there.
put your fruit in the refrigerator?
bro.
Some of my fruits in the refrigerator, yeah.
Grapes going
Some of my fruits in the refrigerator.
Some
I
of the
like cold fruit.
oranges, some other thing, grapes.
blueberries.
Right.
But the apples and I don't put the apple in there. That's per se.
Maybe an orange.
You shouldn't eat no greens after 2 days. You gotta think. You cooking greens on the stove. Let me just break this down.
He breaking it down.
Non-interrupted.
Right.
You cooking food on the stove, right?
Not food. You say greens. Go stay with the
Okay,
greens.
let's
Come
go
on,
to
come a
the
little
whole
close.
routine.
Come on over here, Sam. Come a little closer so we can make sure we
Let's go
get
to the
this.
whole routine.
Yeah, let's give him the breakdown, Sam.
You buy
The
the
pharmacist
greens.
is going to tell you why he needs his medicine.
This is whoever cooking the greens that day. They start off in the morning, take the greens out the refrigerator. They boiling the meat. They doing whatever, cooking the meat without a top on it, whatever. The refrigerator is sitting. The fresh greens is sitting there, getting room temperature, right? So it's probably an hour, 2 hours that had time for bacteria or whatever to set in. Then you cook them.
That's how you cook them.
None, anybody cook 'em.
I don't cook them like that.
Well, anybody that cook 'em.
I put mine in the pressure cooker.
We're in the pressure cooker. But here, Thanksgiving is a long day. From early in the morning when you cook, by the time that you eat, and then by the time you clean up, it's been 7 or 8 hours that's been sitting on the stove unheated, getting bacteria. Then you put it in the refrigerator. And you talk about eating it 2-3 days later.
No, sir.
You don't
2
know-
weeks.
2
Two-
weeks.
2 weeks, sir.
You don't know what then grew on that food because the process then started because it wasn't stored correctly. Go into any restaurant right now and go in the back and find something that ain't under a heat warmer that's been cooked that day. How many heat warmers you got at your house?
How many heat warmers I got?
Yeah, 0. That'd be 0.
I have
I-
got everything you possibly.
And
Everything
then-
that you
and
got.
then
You
when
said
cook
I
it-
got.
And then how do
So everything that you said I got, I got warming
How long do
trays.
you leave the stove on, keeping that food at a temperature that is going to ensure that it ain't going to grow
Zero.
bacteria? Zero. You see from the beginning. Ask any gastroenterologist. I just seen this too, because I get all them articles from pharmacy. Any gastroenterologist, the first thing that they say that they will never eat since they became a gastroenterologist and went through school to learn about food and all that kind of stuff about the stomach, potato salad. They'll never eat potato salad again.
That's different. That's different because now you
leftover potato salad.
He put
no,
that in
that's
soup.
poultry. Now you're talking about a dangerous.
Poultry.
Potato salad.
It's got
In this neighborhood.
That's
Yeah.
mayonnaise poultry. That's down the line of poultry. That
No,
you have mayonnaise in it. You have egg. That's poultry. That is poultry. Remember 5 minutes I told you that I was a food manager. I know everything about food from rooter to tutor.
Okay, say it's poultry, but you can't.
Poultry has a different game plan.
You shouldn't be eating no leftovers after a day. A day.
I think it's
That next
48
day,
hours. Depends on some scenario. They tell you about 48 hours.
It's
72
It's all
at the
about
most.
ice. You have you heard of an ice bath? Ice bath in your food.
No.
Exactly. So after you cook your food,
Are we-
You ain't did it.
yeah,
I ice
on
bath
thing-
my food.
After
So
Thanksgiving.
after Thanksgiving, I put everything in the refrigerator in my garage.
What I'm telling you is
So
the
you ice
bacteria
bath it.
start- The bacteria started growing while it was sitting out all day.
Nah.
Yes.
Nah.
That's a proven fact.
Nah.
You had biology class, petri dish. That
Petri
stuff started growing before class is over. When you put the stuff in the petri dish, and you can look at it at the end of the class in the under the microscope, and
Yeah.
that thing grew back.
Yeah, because we fed it. We feed it in the petri dish. You feed it. You feed it, and you put it in. You put it in that element.
What the petri dish is the pot.
No, the petri dish is the little thing,
This is
the little
not-
glass, the little.
outside
Oh,
outside of
outside
the
of
science.
The petri dish. Listen to me.
Right.
Bacteria start growing immediately. Immediately. Once you turn that heat off. Once
No.
not at that
Won't you
heat,
go into that?
bacteria, it
Won't you?
starts
Won't you
growing.
go?
That's nature.
You won't you go between 40 and 140? You're gonna start getting that bacteria. We call that the danger zone. So that's between 40 and 140.
How hot is your kitchen?
What do you mean how hot? It's when you cook the food. You cook it at that temperature.
But when it's warms
when
down,
you finish cooking it,
when it's done cooking,
and
it
you're
starts
serving the
growing
food,
bacteria immediately.
are you keeping this food on the warmer? All this food is. That's why I guess this question
Yeah, so the
is.
warmer. Yeah, we keep it in the oven.
Keep it in the
Ain't
oven.
nobody keeping their ain't no black house in America keeping their oven on all day. If you don't shut that oven off, that's what you need.
You put it.
It's like close that refrigerator
So you
door,
put-
goddamn.
So we put all our food in the warmer for keep it at 200. All the food. So we make the dish. We put all the food in the oven. Keep it at 200. Everybody got your plate. Everybody good?
You took pictures on Thanksgiving?
Did I take pictures? No, I ain't take pictures. No, I ain't take
Somebody
pictures.
got pic- It ain't a person in
I ain't take
America
pictures.
that can bring up a picture, a black family that can bring up a picture right
Keeping that
now.
food in the oven?
Exactly.
No,
That-
niggas got
that
sternos.
stuff is out
The sterno.
on the stove, and them sternos blown out because whoever's supposed to bring them forgot.
You drinking?
That stuff, you ain't supposed
Yeah, they
to
sit
have
out.
no food.
Yeah, those are big.
Yeah.
Those are big families and big meetings. You're right. They sit out there.
You should be eating no food.
2 weeks,
America,
man.
We sick.
2 weeks, man. Make soup. How long is the soup gonna last? He got 2 week greens in the soup. He just made the soup 2 days ago.
So who made the soup? No, I made the soup yesterday.
Made the soup.
I made the soup yesterday.
How long the soup gonna
You didn't do
last?
yesterday. Thanksgiving was last week.
2
Right,
weeks
but
ago or something.
Yeah,
right?
but I made an additional turkey. I took one turkey and I put it in the refrigerator. In my my
How long you gonna
refrigerator.
keep this soup?
Talking about something else now.
The soup.
I'm saying how long you gonna hold this soup?
I made a pot of soup.
How
So
long this last?
This soup will probably get me through the weekend.
Thanksgiving.
What?
Wow. Okay. This is an exciting conversation, folks. This is what happens at the lounge. This is an organic
If
conversation
it's if
at
you
the
freeze
cigar
it,
lounge. You thought we talked about
after you
cigars all
freeze it, you can
day,
eat it all.
I mean, after you freeze it, yeah.
but you ain't
you can eat it
freezing.
all.
Yeah, freezer stopped the
We
process.
talking about refrigerator.
Freezer stopped
Yeah,
the
yeah.
process.
You eat it after you refrigerate it.
What you talking about? Ham?
I feel like
A ham?
all of it. All of it.
Sir, everything is different days. Everything is different days.
I mean, ham.
You shouldn't be eating nothing that was cooked today after 2 days. And then 2 days is a stretch.
When Thanksgiving?
I know
Thursday?
I don't observe that.
Well, you can't.
My last day.
Well, you hear a young man say he don't
Definitely.
observe that.
So yeah, every
Next Wednesday. The next Wednesday.
yeah greens if it's sealed correctly, and
Wednesday, man. That's all I got.
When you done cooking,
if
If you done serving, if you don't
I
put
just-
that food in the freezer or refrigerator immediately after you done serving, you when that picnic over. Huh?
no.
Don't even make
No.
me
No. What do you mean when the picnic is over? What do you mean when the picnic is over? Whoa. Time out.
You
What?
never got to worry about me, cause listen. I had
But
that
so we let's play devil advocate. So let's play devil advocate, right? So now we're outside. We're outside. We had a picnic. Picnic started at 12 o'clock. You get there at 2. But you'll go in and you get your piece of chicken and some ribs that was in the regular temperature for 4 or 5 hours. But now you're talking about me putting food on my counter for an hour?
You at risk when you get. Why do you think people be getting sick from picnics and all of that kind of stuff? You at risk.
At risk.
You at risk. I'm telling you, you're at risk from food, from eating food that's not prepared, that's been prepared, and you eating it the next day of all that kind of
So-
stuff. Restaurants.
So everybody does it. Everybody does it.
How do you
I
think?
am just sick.
Why do you
No.
think you've
I
been
don't get
sick?
sick either.
You don't
Next
just
day,
don't
nah.
know it.
I got sick
You've
on
been-
picnic one time.
Yeah, you've been sick and just don't know.
Yeah, you probably just don't know it.
Some damn corn.
You probably just don't know.
Yeah, you sick and just don't know.
You got Poopy Doopy Productions.
Right.
When it's-
Ron was co-signing. Ron said you keep your greens for what? 2 weeks? You kept
No,
greens.
not 2 weeks, but a week.
A week.
A week.
Sealed and refrigerated. Sealed and refrigerated.
Well, that's by default for him.
Refrigerator in a
Because he ain't cooking no greens.
Airtight refrigeration.
airtight
Yeah,
container.
Why do you
6 days.
Why do you think it's so easy for them, like when Chipotle, just use Chipotle. Chipotle had that big outbreak.
Yeah.
They could track exactly where the supplier and where it came from, and they go to them plants or whatever restaurant it was, and they could just look and see how they prepare food and what's going. This is the code.
But it's not preparing. But it's not preparing.
How long is y'all
What's
keeping
that?
lunch meat?
McDonald's just went through that with the quarter
You buy some
pounder,
lunch
but
meat. How long you keep your
It
lunch
was
meat?
the onion.
2 months.
So
Exactly.
they come in the back.
Longer than that.
Longer than 2
Longer than
months.
that.
Yeah.
Longer than
Fuck his hand.
that. Longer than that.
Slime, he got slimy ham. He got slimy ham sandwiches.
Yeah.
I mean, with old cheese.
Eat no stuff like that.
Yeah, you don't. That's poultry. We talk about poultry and meat.
Man,
Meat, no meat.
Poopy
Meat is
Doopy
meat is
Productions,
different
man.
from fruits and vegetables.
So they're gonna
man.
need the Kegel. They're gonna need the Kegel. So this is
They're gonna
why.
need Kegel. They're gonna need the Kegel.
Yeah, you gonna need that. I think you gonna need.
If y'all out there eating that fast food, y'all need the Kegel.
Well, I think eating that food you talking about eating, bro. I can't agree with the
And
2
I
week
agree with you
scenario.
that fast food is bad, but the way that you eating stuff 2 weeks
I
later,
never-
you might as well.
You not
eat
familiar?
Big Macs and a Whopper.
Yeah, see, he was breaking down.
What 6-day collard greens?
Man, you can't be eating no collard greens after no 6 days. I
Eating
don't know,
everything.
if we grew up naturally doing it. You shouldn't be doing
You
it.
said naturally doing it.
That's true. Grandma did it. You figure Grandma did
Let me tell you,
it. Mom
before
did
you
it.
leave.
So you ain't know no better.
I watched the Sanford and Son. Fred taught me not to eat that shit.
I mean, with the neck bones and everything.
We was school, man.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. How and this approved house in the house. That is in your house. That everything you scared of is already there. This is how nature works.
Yes.
Do you drink wine?
Yes.
Go to your house tonight. Leave a glass of wine outside. I mean, leave a glass of wine on the counter. I promise you, I bet you $1 million, it's fruit flies gonna be in that wine.
Not in my
Put
house.
it in my decanter.
Not in my house.
It ain't your house. It's
In-
nature. These things
Oh, you-
are.
oh,
It's like
these-
decomposing bodies. So you get the maggots. It's just like, okay, it's in your body already. It's already there.
Not one day. It's gonna
already
take
there.
more than one day.
No, it ain't.
It's gonna take more than one
They're
day.
waiting
Not in my house.
for this.
Not in my house.
Nature don't
My-
play.
my
You can't
house.
use my house. My house is crazy with it. I'm
Your
telling
nature
you.
got air. You get air in it.
I'm having a crazy house.
Nature-
I got a crazy house.
He got no oxygen in his house.
In the
I got.
container.
Yeah, I got.
How long can you keep that in there?
It don't ever last.
What was the question?
I've drank that shit a week later.
Yeah.
I got a crazy
I'm not
house.
saying that wine don't go bad because the alcohol in it will hold it. But if you seal it up and keep the air.
Keep right. Keep.
Yeah,
keep-
my house is crazy.
Ain't no way people-
I even got my own water system.
What kills black folk more than anything is what we eat and how we prepare it, and then how we store it. If you go to these White Houses, why they so thin and why they don't look like us, is it because the less amount of salt that they use?
That's all. That's not fact.
This is fact.
That's not fact.
Man, this is
It's
fact.
no, it's not fact. We just
It-
talked about
this is
what
fact.
people think is fact. It's
This
not.
is
It's not fact. It's not fact. It's not fact.
In any black house, we got 3 different kinds of salts in our.
We got all kind of seasonings, and that's what we laugh about the other folks because they don't put seasoning.
Right.
And we crack on them and joke with them because they don't use salt. But they ain't dying from the heart disease that we die from.
Whoa. No. Here's the thing. It's reversed. It's reversed. What happened is we stopped eating what old grandma and old granddaddy ate. And that's why we're suffering from high blood pressure and sugar diabetes.
I think it's more processed
Greens
foods.
is a weed.
What?
Greens is a weed. Greens is not no plant. Go plant a green seed in the middle of the crack in the sidewalk. You'll have a green plant coming up, greens growing through that crack in the sidewalk next summer, next spring.
So what are you trying to say? Weeds are bad? Weeds are not bad.
How about there are other weeds that just smoke?
Weeds are not bad.
We eat greens because they grew along the cotton fields. You planted the cotton fields.
Exactly.
There's a lot of
Exactly.
everybody-
Exactly. But it's nothing wrong with having little greens.
I love chitlins, right?
Oh, God bless you.
What the hell am I eating a chitlin for?
Because somebody told you to.
Because somebody told you to.
Right.
Because it was fact. Because it was fact.
I love them.
Because it was fact.
I'm not a fan of no
Chitlins
chitlins.
and hog bones.
But it was a fact. It was a fact that we ate them. That's a fact, right? It's a fact that we ate them.
Let me tell you this.
But does it make it true?
We grew up, our people grew up eating pig feet and all that kind of stuff.
Hog
Hog mugs. And one of us in this room right now can eat one pig feet and in 45 minutes not have a headache. Not a one of us could eat it. Because of the amount, the way they cure it and the amount of salt that's in it, because it's in the feet. So all the salt from it goes to the feet, and they feed the pigs high salt diets. And
So what do you think was the issue going back to the parents? Where he's saying, okay,
Not
we.
educated.
Well, I'm saying you saying we get a headache.
Oh,
Back then, grandma, pop, and all the rest of the crew, this was a main meal. This was a.
They were sick and didn't know it.
Okay.
They were sick and didn't know, and then the kids didn't get sick because we was outside playing and running around and everything.
So according to the new study,
New study, this is information.
no, according to the new study, that we're not living the way they used to live. We're living shorter lives than they lived with the diet that they had. So they rewinded and realized that we need 1,000 mgs of sodium every day to live a long life. That's the new study.
From who?
The new study of the way the heart and the brain works. We need
Manufacturers?
no, not the salt manufacturers.
Salt
No,
manufacturers.
not the salt manufacturers. But having a low sodium body,
It's salt
you'll
in
die
everything.
faster.
It's salt when you drink water. It's salt.
Not enough, but it's not enough. They said that you need 1,000 a day to keep your heart.
We overconsume salt.
I would agree with that.
We overconsume.
I would
salt.
definitely agree
Well,
with
that was the myth that we overconsumed.
That ain't no the myth.
But
we
black folks do
overconsume.
have hypertension more so than any other group of demographics.
High cholesterol.
So black folks, heart disease,
all these drugs
diabetes,
and everything that's we on.
black folks,
I'm on them
we on that
too.
spectrum for whatever reason.
Yeah. Selling that envelope
Look
thing.
like I had the stroke I had.
I'm on.
But a lot of that is not because of the sodium. It's because your pH balance. It's a whole lot of different stuff that a lot of people like. Just doing something simple as taking Iris Moss will take away a high blood pressure pill, or something simple as taking Iris Moss will stop you from having to take all these other kinds of medications. So a lot of people are not going natural. They're going with what the scientists are saying and what the doctors are saying.
Let me say this: in Italy, France, Japan, all those countries, they are the highest smoking countries in the world. Highest smoking countries in the world, right? Their lifespan is 20 years longer than Americans. Their sodium content is 70% less than ours. Fact. Salt is worse than a cigarette any day.
See,
Heart disease kill more people than lung cancer by 90%.
it's not. But it's not.
It's all facts.
It's not the salt.
It is the salt.
It's not the salt.
It's the sodium.
It's not the salt.
It's
It's not the
Let me
salt.
tell you what Europe did.
It is not the salt. It's the preservative that they put into
Which
it.
is salt.
No, right, but it's a tainted salt. We're talking about regular salt. You're talking about preservative. A preservative and salt is two different things.
No, let's go on the same page. It's all sodium based.
You can't say sodium based. You can't say preservative.
Preservative is all
But,
sodium.
no,
based.
preservative is artificial.
It's all sodium based.
But it's artificial.
Look it up.
But,
It's all
but preservative is artificial. It's not. It's an.
sodium based.
What do you mean?
It's all with a sodium based.
That's like saying a vape is water based. It's water based, but it still has dangerous stuff in it.
Do you remember Tony Blair? Tony Blair
Yes.
used to be prime minister.
Right.
Over there, he got all the food companies in secret. This is secret. You can look it up. He got all the food companies in Europe to go and met with them privately. He said, "Listen, because they got universal health care." He said, "Listen, our people are dying at an alarming rate from sodium and preservatives that you put in your food. They died at an alarming rate." He said, "Over the next 3 years, let's cut down all of the sodium and everything that you're putting in the food. Can we agree to do that?" Each year they cut it down 10%, didn't let the public know. 60% drop in health issues. Because of the way they
This was
changed
the
that.
80s, right?
No, this is in 2000.
My mother-in-law live in London.
So Blair did that in 2000.
My wife was talking about how good her mom could cook, right? They Jamaican. My wife went over to visit her mom. She said her food was nasty as fuck. It was like bland as shit. Oh, damn. That's the way they've been groomed over. She been over there so long, she fell in with it for the rest of it.
My man said he just started using salt. He a vegan. He's like, I just started using salt. That shit changed my way of eating and shit. I'm like, what? I just started using salt. I just stopped using it. I just stopped using it.
Yeah, you gotta have salt. The salt is what pumps your heart. You take the salt away, your heart goes in what you call a low pressure system.
Like when I cook something, I don't use salt. But if I go to Poppy's and get cheesesteak or something, salt, pepper, ketchup. But as far as me cooking, I use garlic powder, I use onion powder, I use
lemon pepper.
Now, talking about like when you eat a meat.
Like when I'm cooking,
Eat some regular food
I don't put no salt in my shit.
that you didn't prepare.
Yeah, you need salt. You need
But like I said, if I
yeah,
go
you need
out to
salt.
eat,
You need salt. That's why a lot of people have heart problems because they either eat too much salt or no salt at all.
That's the thing. I
So
guess
you gotta
the
have
excessive- Not saying the body doesn't require salt, but
the body
when you have
requires
the
salt.
excessive amount
So
of salt.
anytime you go over 2,000 mg's of sodium, you start stroking.
I just got garlic. I got garlic sea salt.
No, that's good. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Some is high cholesterol.
Huh?
High cholesterol.
Yeah, high cholesterol. But see, that's different. That's fats.
Trans fat.
Yeah, trans fats. So different type of fats.
Yeah, you got good fats and bad
You got
fats.
good fats and bad fats.
Too much
But
salt.
I want to talk about this. We really be getting down on this whole scenario here with this food thing. I want to talk about what's going on. We had this conversation about current event, the shooting in New York. You're from New York.
I get the kind from Morocco.
Now, have you seen the video of the
Yes,
CEO
I've seen the video.
from United? Unfortunately,
Olive oil from Morocco.
he's unalive right now. Based on your experience in law enforcement, what's your opinion of what you saw in that video?
What I don't understand is it feels like because it happened in the best criminal investigative city.
I'll give you that. Y'all got a military.
And I'm trying to say it might be in the world. The
Third
detective squad.
largest probably army.
I'm talking about the investigation process. They got one of the best detectives investigation squads in probably in the United States.
You're like what, 30,000 deep with police.
50.
It's 50,000.
50,000.
Oh damn. Okay, so you saw the video, and
We actually have devices on the corner that actually know when the shot has been shot.
maybe that's the reason why he did some homework. And
So he probably knew it
weapon that
wasn't-
he used wasn't going to detect.
Right.
Wasn't being okay, but there were
So
many
it
witnesses.
didn't get detected.
So again, what's your opinion? You seen this video? You see the video, and we're about 48 hours out. I mean, the show, 48 hours. You're familiar with that show. Things start going cold after
Right.
48 hours.
Right.
Me personally, I believe, again, we're recording this on a Friday. This podcast probably drop on a Sunday.
You want to eat some greens after
I'm believing, this is my opinion, that they'll have him by the weekend. By Sunday, I want to say they're going to have him in custody. But I wanted to know your opinion of what you saw. There's a lot of speculation that he was trained or he specialized, he was an assassin. There's a lot of talk of that. Based on your experience, based on what you saw, do you agree with any of those assessments?
Well, they said the same guy that tried to assassinate Donald Trump. These guys are getting guns. These white males are getting guns at an early age. So 5 years, 6 years down the line, shooting guns all the time, shooting somebody at that range, you know, it's not hard to do. If you go into a firing, if you fire your gun all the time, now you take that and you give somebody some money, and you give them a way to get out and a way to get in, and who you're doing it with, something like that.
So you thinking he working with somebody?
Of course he's working with somebody. Of course he is. Of course
Can
he
you
is.
expand a little bit on
That job, they could have gave that man $100,000. He would have did that.
You said they could have you. So your opinion is the fact that okay, he's paid off. He's
Oh, he's
working with
definitely
some-
paid off.
He's working with some people.
Yes. They knew. I think he bought probably a ticket on the Greyhound. You know, you can buy a ticket.
I heard some
with
information.
cash, and you don't even have to give him your real name.
Well, yeah, nobody's checked. I mean, those
Right.
systems are still open.
Like, still
in
old,
Carnival.
still the old school.
The train.
So he has to know that.
buses.
He has to know that.
So you saying okay? Your opinion is he's a professional.
And then he went to a hostel. Hostel the same way. Fake ID. They don't even run your system. They don't even run the hostel system. I used to go in the hostels and hang out in there all the
Okay,
time.
so for those who don't know what a hostel is, because I was one of those people.
Right.
I mean,
So a hostel is a one thing about a hostel in New York City. You can't be a New York City resident and go into a hostel. You have to be quote unquote within maybe out of the city or within 50 miles away. A lot of them, the international people, they come in. It's an open bay. If you want to spend a little bit more money, you might get a bay that could share with for other people. But most of it's an open bay. It's about maybe $40 a day.
so it was like almost like an Airbnb.
Worse than an Airbnb because you all share everything.
So this is like a big apartment.
They
For
take
example.
they took these old, a lot of them took these old psychiatric wards, open bay, and they turned them into hostels.
So basically, it's a place where you can.
Yeah, you just
house-
go in. Yeah, as long as you don't
house-
have an ID from that state, you can go to the hostel.
How long can you stay there?
You got as much money as you want. I mean, you
Oh,
wanna
okay.
stay- yeah.
Okay. Do people? I guess people could live there and work there if they're out of state, for example.
Yeah,
I'm
they
here
live
for
there.
A couple of weeks.
Right,
a couple
right.
months.
You go to the hostel.
Interesting.
Give them a
okay.
bullshit ass ID. You know, pay your money. They don't care. And then the detectives and they're not gonna check the hostels like that.
Right.
Because it's not
on the map.
they're not really, it's out of state, out of country.
So you're not really a threat. They don't deem those individuals coming there.
You could
as
actually get a
threat.
fake passport and go and be like, I'm from England. Fake passport and go in the
So
hostel.
how does one even find about the hostel? Because I knew nothing about it.
Everybody knows about the hostel.
Well, I can't say
man.
everybody. I don't know nothing about it. I knew nothing about it. This is my first time I'm hearing about a hostel. Are
So-
they in different states?
They're all over the world. It's an international entity.
Oh,
So if
international.
you go
Even though-
to Canada and go to a hostel because you're an American, so you can go to a hostel and spend $25 a night.
So would it
get
be a
food
fair
with-
assessment to say that most hostels are people from outside the country?
Most of the time, yes.
Most of the time. Okay. And you can stay there as long as you want. So there should be some type of record, even if it's a phony ID. So, my thing
Yes,
is,
there's a name. You give them a name and a phony ID or whatever. They put that on file. That's it.
so again, doing police work, they're not sharing everything with the public, obviously.
No,
I think obviously New
they
York-
hiding. They probably hiding about at least 75%. So all we getting is the 25%.
Yes. So I'm thinking they got more leads.
Oh,
than
they got some shit, bro.
That's why. That's what leads me to believe that this guy will be caught by the weekend. The fact that they had a lot of stuff. He went to the Starbucks. They got a good shot of his face. At this location, he left the protein wrapper. He bought some coffee. But I don't see people. Again, looking at the video, there was a person, looked like a lady, standing right there when the shooting occurred. I don't know if you noticed that on the right side of the video, on the right side of the screen, if you look at this video, you see an individual standing there, looking, they had a cup of coffee. It looks like a young lady. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But she takes off. Then there's an SUV right on the side of them. There's somebody in an SUV. You see the brake lights come on. And this guy kind of disappears into the night. No, not to be seen. And again, New York is not like England, or
But
they
you don't.
have
But you don't
cameras
get
all over
the.
the place.
But you don't get the background footage of what made him stand at that location at that certain time to do what he did, because he's been given that information. So he might walk that same route every day to get to work.
Well, no, it wasn't even. He's not from there. He was there for a conference.
Right, but to
and-
put him in that
No, I'll give you that. There had to be some intel.
it was of course it was intel.
And I heard he had a security detail, and he wasn't with him that day for whatever reason, because he had been getting threats. So based on my little bit of information I know, he was getting threats. He told his wife, "Hey, they've been threatening me. I've been getting these death threats."
But
And there
he-
was a bomb. There was a bomb threat at his house.
Right.
I think he lived in Minnesota.
But he caught in the end. He was threats is normal. It's normal in his field. So he don't. You brush him off.
But be out there, whatever, 6 o'clock or something in the morning, just to take a walk. Who knows what he was doing, where he was going. At first, I'm gonna be honest. When I first heard the story, I was thinking it was a love triangle. That was my first opinion. But now, as the investigation moves forward, I'm coming of a different opinion.
Yeah, that doesn't come under the love triangle. The way it was set up, and
I'm saying initially when I first heard that story, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
this is a love triangle thing,
Triangle.
something, because the fact that he knew the movements. This guy's leaving out. I mean, how do you know this guy's going to be getting out 6 o'clock in the morning? The conference maybe starts at 8 o'clock, but yet you're going to just take a stroll,
right,
walk down wherever you.
and you know
wherever
there's
he was
less
going.
people out.
Of course, and disappear into the night. So again, that's why I asked you, based on your expertise,
And to take the Greyhound and to stay in the hostel.
Well,
This-
see, the Greyhound, I think they're still investigating. I haven't heard any concrete, but they're putting pieces together. They were saying they think he took a Greyhound from Atlanta. They were saying they see some breadcrumbs coming from Atlanta where he made his way up to New York, but that's still being
I don't know where,
investigated.
but he probably. That's the best way to do it, though. If you look at it, that's the best. That's the best way to do it.
Oh, I don't disagree.
Any transportation that you can use above hijacking. I mean, not hijacking, but hitchhiking. That's the only way you can move on.
Right, that's a problem. That's a whole nother issue. That's another podcast. The fact that now aviation, obviously 9/11 occurred, so now that's on lockdown. But what I noticed, because my field, the TSA, when it was incorporated back in 2001, it was supposed to take care of everything transportation. That's why it's called transportation.
But
Security
they got rural towns. So you can actually go to a rural town. They will give you one of them old-fashioned 1940 Greyhound tickets.
Absolutely.
And you give them a name and you pay them. And what's your name, sir?
Yeah, but that's,
Leviathan Smith. And they're writing Leviathan Smith on a card
and give
and
it to you,
give it
get
to
on
you.
that bus.
Bus be out there and do an hour and a half.
So this is what I'm saying: the fact that these transportation pieces, the train, the buses, they were supposed to cruise ships. Transportation Security Administration was supposed to take care of all that,
Right.
but they didn't have the money,
Yeah.
so it becomes an issue
Right.
with the budget. They said, you know what, this was the idea, the concept was great, but we don't have the finances to do all that. So let's just concentrate on aviation, because obviously 9/11 had just happened, so that was a hot topic point. But besides that, those places are wide open. You can take a bomb. I hate to say this, but literally you can take a bomb down the Amtrak, get on the bus. All those places, they don't check. There is no security in the sense of they're checking passengers for illicit weapons, contraband. There's none of that.
Right.
So it's wide open.
It's wide open.
So again, going back to that story, unfortunately, the man has passed away. And I've been watching some of the social media stuff, and it's crazy how folks are responding to this. It's kind of disgusting. Where they're like, oh, he had a pre-existing condition. Oh, that was, and it's just crazy. So we live in this society where I don't know. Again, I guess we've always been this way, but with social media,
we do have
opens
in
up a
in
door.
the hubs. So we have all the hubs in New York City will have bomb sniffing and bomb
no
detection.
New York City's a hot spot.
Yeah, it's
terrorists.
they have bomb everything, bomb sensors, bomb smelling dogs, the electronics that's in the bomb. They can detect the electronics that's in
Right.
the bomb.
Yeah,
So-
I give New York that because again, it's obviously one of the
yeah.
largest city in the United
and
States.
keep getting hit too. So yeah.
That's my whole point. It's a hot spot because of the population, because you can do so much damage, you can hit so many people,
and you got the
at one
stock
time.
exchange there, so you got to give the extra protection for the stock exchange.
Yeah, So, what else has been going on, man? Like, that's one of the current things. What you smoking? You got the Underground.
Underground. Yeah, I'm smoking
VR
Underground.
going on.
What, you ain't smoking nothing? I see you.
I just finished smoking. What did I have? I had I don't remember what I had.
Not a New World, right?
No, it wasn't newer. I forgot. That's what happens. You get old. Folks were listening like, man, what kind of podcast is this? This guy's talking about everything. This is supposed to be Smoke World. Smoke World is a podcast that talks about everything. The cigar is just the starting point of the conversation. And today was one of those prime examples, being inside the lounge. Guess what, people? Guess what we don't talk about 99% of the time? It's cigars. The lounge is not a cigar conversation place where people talk about cigars. It may sound crazy to some people listening, but it's a conversation about everything else, current events, life,
Right.
greens that you keep for 2 weeks, the keto. But he said he didn't know nothing about that. What's you saying you have, because now you're going to need that, brother.
What?
The keto.
For my soup?
Yeah.
I'm gonna need my Kegel for the soup.
Absolutely gonna need the Kegel for the soup. You eat 2 weeks old food. Now you're making soup that you're gonna last for another week.
It's not 2 weeks. Thanksgiving wasn't 2 weeks ago.
It's like close enough, bro.
No, it wasn't close enough.
Greater than and less than. You remember that math?
Wasn't Thanksgiving last Friday? Last Thursday? It's a week.
It's Friday right now.
It's a
2 weeks,
week.
man. Okay, man. You
It's a
can't
week.
You eat old food. Old
week.
food. But that's all right.
So
We're
do you
gonna rehash that.
So you think that Whopper is fresh? That Whopper been processed.
That's
It's been in that
processed.
freezer
Yeah,
a
they've
year
been in the
ago.
But if you had it in the freezer, I would give you 2 points for that. Being in the Boy Scouts post 6622. I would give you that.
Stupid, man.
Yeah, post
I wasn't know any kind of scouts.
You was in Brooklyn, you was in the post 622.
We couldn't afford
You ain't
Boy
had to pay.
Scouts.
You ain't had to pay for the Boy Scouts back
You had
then.
to pay for the Boy Scouts.
you-
You had to pay for
The
it.
church paid for it. You didn't pay for
What
nothing.
church?
The church you went to. You didn't pay for nothing. over
Church.
the Scouts.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Yeah, they
I'm
paid
Muslim,
for it
bro.
too. They paid for it too. Get y'all kids out the hood.
No.
Get you doing something positive. Get y'all.
We was against the Boy
street.
Scouts because we know they was touching people's ball
They
sacks.
weren't touching them in the black
Yes, they
neighborhood.
was. They was touching their ball
No,
sacks.
that's at the Catholic Church.
I know a boy that
You
got
don't-
touched.
We talking that's church. That's Catholic church.
I'm not
We're
talking
not
about
talking
Catholic
about
church.
that right now. We talking about the
You know
Boy
what?
Scouts.
It was a Catholic church. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying. You
You're
went
right,
to
it was-
Central
it was
Park
a-
to camp out.
It was Saint.
Y'all didn't go too
It
far.
was Saint Fortunatus, and it was a Catholic
Absolutely.
church.
See, I'm not gonna let you talk bad about the Boy Scouts. They had their issues, but yeah, that was cool. That
Because
was-
it's proven fact that he apologized. It's a big lawsuit, and yeah, they owe some people some money.
of course. Well, what we talking about now? What, you get me confused.
The Catholic.
Oh,
Catholic
absolutely.
church.
They was. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. That's a whole other. That's another podcast in itself. But
Yeah, we was. Hell yeah, we was. Shit, we were easier.
nah, well, it's
know
a black. It's a bunch.
Catholics.
It's a bunch. It's a bunch of them.
What?
Yeah, it's a bunch of them. Yeah. He said he didn't know anything
Okay.
about black Catholics. Yeah, it's a bunch of black
You're
Catholics.
probably right. You're probably right.
Depends on your neighborhood.
You're probably right.
So we come from the hood. It wasn't in our hood. It wasn't. Yeah, you had Christian,
Well, same
Baptist,
thing here in Delaware. I think what they
Methodist.
I went to
segregation laws here.
I went to William Penn. That's the first time I seen white people in the school.
Segregation laws. What is in '79, right? Y'all went all
What's that? We talking about Delaware or Philly?
Delaware,
Well, Delaware a little different. Delaware a little different.
like 1980, right? I think 1980. Y'all full segregation. Everybody was.
We ain't never gotten full desegregation.
Well, okay, don't get him started.
Whoa, are you serious?
He said we never.
Wow.
Got full
You see, that's something. That's something
Oh,
to,
yes, but he's saying by
That's just like Maryland and shit like
by law. But when was the law?
When was the law, Mr. Ron?
1980.
Now, the law was 66. That's when the law
66 was the law,
It was going on.
desegregation, but it didn't happen. To this day, still not quite. They getting rid of that. Your boy.
I don't
getting
think
rid of
those work. There
You know?
it does. You turn the light on.
that. Yeah, with your DEI
Outside.
and all that good stuff. Well, look, man, I'm gonna
Because
wrap this thing
smoke
up, bro.
Right here. This is it. It's not. Nothing's gonna work.
Yeah, so we have a guest walked
So-
in. He's looking at the smoke
So
in the
you're
room.
gonna get some back smoke because
There's a lot of smoke.
It's
yeah.
not.
We have a certain individual who's an anti-smoke elimination. He loves to smoke. He's like, okay, I want to smoke my cigar, but I don't need to smoke everybody else's cigar. But he wants to have a little flavor.
I'm gonna let somebody sit here. You see how cold it gets.
Well, he's bundled
It
up.
does get chilly over there.
He's got a
It get
scarf.
chilly.
He did have his scarf on a little earlier. He had a scarf on. That's how you normally.
That's for like outside. That's for outside. That's for outside.
Scarf and hat.
He said it got cold.
But listen, we're gonna wrap this thing up, bro. We wrapping it up, keeping it moving.
Before that, it was cold before that.
You can follow me on Instagram, Smoke World Podcast.
Cold before that.
IG
Part
is
two.
what that is.
Part two tomorrow.
Part two, man. Part two tomorrow. We're gonna act crazy. Facebook,
I'm in here every
Smoke
day.
World Podcast is the group name. Email stone@smokeworldpodcast.com and the website SmokeWorldPodcast.com. We
It's a-
appreciate
it's
y'all
a
listening. I know this has
clicking
been a
in the back
wild
of your brain, that's what it is.
podcast. I apologize, but this is the real raw form
Something
of
clicked the
what
back of your
happens in the cigar lounge. We're going to catch y'all guys on the other side. Peace.
Sketches.
Peace.